What is up, people? Welcome back to the Ther-I-P show, where we put our favorite characters and IP on the sofa to figure out the best way forward for them with the hopes that everyone will love these characters as much as we do. Now, this is episode 2, but before I introduce my guests and the IP we're going to chat about, please take a quick second to smash that like button and go ahead and subscribe to the Grown Ed Geeks channel so you can get more of this fresh, piping hot content that we're giving to you guys. We're doing a lot of reviews. We're doing a lot more interesting shows like this. So definitely want you guys to be tuned in and available for that as soon as it comes out. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce my guest, the homie from way back.
Way back.
Now currently adjunct professor at Gotham U in all things Batman. I'm just kidding. We're gonna have a lot of fun today, but as you can see probably from the title card, today we are going to be talking about the Dark Knight himself, Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, or the Batman, as a lot of super fans like to say.
Yeah.
So starting off, Dunesia, good evening, good afternoon.
Hey, Jeff, what's
How
up?
are you? How have
I'm
you been?
good. Do I look like a professor?
Yeah.
I definitely wanted to look like a professor.
It's got the like Maya Angelou great,
The head wrap, yeah.
or like when Whoopi Goldberg was like a guest star on A Different World. So yeah, but if you're in the Grown Ed Geeks Facebook group, you know Dunesia is our resident Batman stan. You said something interesting before the show. You said you're a fan and not an expert. And,
yes.
You know, I kind of like that. So I'm gonna give you like a couple minutes or however long you want to just chat about your love of Batman, where it came from. You know, you can even talk about why you consider yourself a fan, not an expert, and we'll just go from there.
Okay. So for me, growing up, my mom was definitely a girl is a girl and you do girl things. You play with Barbies and that kind of stuff. So I was almost like a closeted Batman fan because I wasn't allowed to have comics and stuff like that. That was for my brother. That wasn't for me. So it's very interesting because Adam West like piqued my interest in Batman. Michael Keaton made me go, ooh. But Kevin Conroy made me go, oh. So I definitely had stages where I'm like, I think this is it. But the animated series is what really locked me into Batman. And then the content is so good. I'm not going to talk about the movies, but the animated content is so good. So That's just kind of where that started for me. And I say I'm a fan and not an expert because I'm not. You know, I can't take you through all the year 1, the year 2, the year 3. Like I know they're out there. I read some comics and stuff like that. Now I'm trying to catch up, but I can't tell you, you know, Dick Grayson's this age when he started and, just the stuff that people get into, that minutia. And that's fine, but that's just not me. And I'm not going to argue with people about it. I love Batman. And, besides Sam, I'll argue with Sam, but
I think one of the things too we kind of have been trying to talk about on this show too is just like the idea that like the day of the expert is slowly going away. Like we're making so many movies and TV shows with big characters, small characters, in between characters, new characters that it's just like, everybody's got to be able to figure out a way to talk about this stuff with whoever their community is. And, I like talking to fans. I don't mind talking to people who like aren't going into like all the minutia of it because we can still be like human. We there's a point where it turns into just like two computers trying to see who's searching fastest. It's just like,
and then you get into, and I love people's different interpretations of it, especially in the comics. But you get too caught up in that and you're like, oh, well, this timeline doesn't make any sense. I'm like, just enjoy it for what it is. It's entertainment and it's not that serious. So fan, not an expert.
No, that's good. I think that'll help a lot with our conversation today too, because I think with Batman, it's interesting because like with Superman, that's like clearly a character we did last week that's like super polarizing in a way that like people either hate Superman or they love Superman. And the scale is, I think, a lot more tipped towards people who don't like Superman, and a lot of the people on that side of the scale are Batman fans.
Yes.
So it's like you guys have a lot of fans, but sometimes having a lot of fans can be bad for your IP because it can push people away. But so I'll get into my 3 issues that I feel like is with the IP, but I'm gonna start with you and let's just, let's run through some of these ideas that you think are kind of like maybe holding the character back or have caused like some issues with how we like kind of look at Batman in the present day.
Oh God, where to start? Talk about somebody that needs therapy. A lot of unresolved childhood issues. I said, well, maybe that's why they keep revisiting his parents dying in every damn Batman series we do. We have to talk about his parents dying because, I mean, it is where that started. He was 8 years old. I could see how that would affect you, but really, you never see him deal with that ever.
Yeah. Well, the way he chooses to deal with it is probably the most unhealthy way you could. I mean, it's like as close to becoming a serial killer as you can without actually killing. It's like a serial maimer.
Yeah, and it's funny because it seems like he's resistant to other people, but then you see him take on, Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon, and he's resistant to it, but he does end up taking them under his wing and almost like a father figure, especially with Dick. And I think that's why when they kind of broke up, he became Nightwing and all that did something to him a lot. But it's just, that's my thing with him. I think he didn't deal with his parents and it makes things weird. And then of course, everybody always wants to talk about he doesn't have any superpowers and but that's what makes him great. Besides him being a billionaire, that could be us. But I don't think people take the time, not that I'm too deep into it, but to really understand that he's a great detective and he took time to learn to be a great detective and he took time to hone his craft and fighting and stuff like that. So I think that he thinks he's never doing enough, which definitely goes against him and why he pushes too hard to the point of almost killing some people, and not really knowing any type of conflict resolution. And then also apparently living in a place where anybody can escape from the asylum at any time. Worst lockdown system ever.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because I actually just watched Injustice the other night, and it was like, on one hand, I'm like, I get your point, Batman, about like we can't be like the world police, but on the other hand, it's also just like you said, how many times is Joker going to escape? I mean, have you been watching Peacemaker?
Yes, I have.
Have you watched the newest one?
I have not seen. I saw episode 1 and 2. So I
won't spoil it for you, but in episode 4, Peacemaker actually like he goes on kind of this like tirade about like why Batman's not so great to like old man on the street, which is like super hilarious. But it is it's like hearing a lot of the arguments that you have with like comic book guy, and it's just like, oh, is that what we sound like when we talk about Batman? But yeah, so I agree with that. I think for me, a lot of these characters too kind of suffer from being created in a time where things were like different. Like I always remember being a kid watching the animated series, like, what year is this set in? Because there's cell phones, but then like the cars look like Beach Boys cars, and sometimes y'all using a ham radio, and then sometimes y'all got this like out of this world technology that we never heard about. And then it's also supposed to be set at the same time as the Superman cartoon, where in Metropolis they got like all kinds of high tech state of the art stuff. So I don't sometimes like the time in which something was created and that desire to hold on to certain things and not update can kind of, I think it can kind of hurt a character, because then you start making stuff that doesn't make sense to the audience that you're living in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that's the whole thing with like, I think the newest thing with Batman, like the no powers thing has always been a thing, but that's just like a joke because it doesn't matter. There's a lot of people with no powers. Green Arrow don't have powers. Hawkeye don't have powers. Like we have countless comic book heroes that people like who don't have powers. So, you know, why, I'll ask you this. Why do you think people go so hard on Batman for not having powers as opposed to like some of the other people out there?
I think because of some of the fighting scenarios that happen, and they're like, ah! But you know, Stan Lee put it best. You know, when he said he gets mad got mad. Laura, I'm still talking about him in the present tense, but he would get mad when people always ask him, "Oh, who would win between a fight and the Hulk and the?" He was like, "Whoever's writing the story."
Right.
And that's what it is. Like, we get too caught up into, oh, well, that would be physically impossible. And like, okay, well, they wrote the story this way. It's fine. We understand Superman could knock somebody out in one punch, but I think it deserves a certain point of reverence to look to the fact that, yeah, like if Superman was fighting Bane, boom, one knock out, great. But Batman would really have to think about how to counteract his attack, how to really attack him and break him down. And so for me, that's what I like. Like, it's not a simple thing. It's not a 1-2 punch. You're out. And so even with Superman, Sam, you know, everybody goes, oh, kryptonite. And I'm like, I don't know that Superman really taught himself how to fight or anything. Or you just relying on your strength because you just have it. And whereas Batman has done nothing but have to rely on his brain and his body to get out of, you know, attacks or whatever. And I'm sure it might be like a Beyonce thing where Batman fans make other people hate Batman because we go too hard. And, you know, because, you know, people do that.
I think, too, it's like that his place in the Justice League and in the DC universe is so esteemed versus like other people who don't have powers, where it's just like I'm actually looking at Marvel now. I'm kind of just like, what y'all gonna do about Captain America? Because just this regular man stuff. I don't know. I just, you know, I don't know how people gonna rally behind that. You know what I mean? And I think when you start looking at the DC Trinity, you know, people aren't gonna give Green Arrow shit because he's just like he's tight, and the CW shows made us kind of look at him a little bit differently. But at the end of the day, like he's B-list.
Yes,
so he's not like on Batman's. Batman's like A list.
Yeah.
In the comics and in our world. So I think sometimes people can also be a little bit like, in what world would like this overpowered alien and this like this like goddess defer to just this rich dude? You know what I mean? Like,
because he's got a great brain, though. People forget, like, he is
Superman's smart too.
So yeah.
Superman
and the smartest person you always get people that know better than you and can do better to work for you, right? That's the smartest person. That's all you got to do. So that's all he does. And he just has a presence about him that I think some of the other superheroes just really don't have. And I don't know if it's that dark boding thing that he does, or the fact that he's a billionaire. I mean, that doesn't, you know, nothing wrong with that. So, because I mean, what is Wonder Woman doing today? I don't know. Superman working at a newspaper. Ain't no money. He ain't got no money.
I think Wonder Woman is one of those. It's like, I'm not putting on a facade for you guys. Except in the movies, because she's trying to stay hidden. But in the comic books, Wonder Woman be Wonder Woman. Unless they go into like a gala and she got to dress up to blend in. But they still know that's Wonder Woman. I'll say, like, let's talk about another thing kind of dealing with that, like the time in which something was created. I know lately an argument that one of my personal favorite anti-Batman arguments is the amount of money that he spends on bat tech and bat caves and all this other stuff for a city that seems to constantly be strapped for cash, constantly like ravaged with unemployment. And that's creating the crime. And, you know, Batman going from his house on the hill down to the hood every night to just like beat up drug dealers and sometimes the villains don't be like special dudes. Sometimes the villains just be like hey, I was trying to make some money to feed my daughter, and I walked around the wrong corner, and
wrong corner, dark alley. Yeah, and then too, even I have those moments because I'm like, some of these people, a lot of people are in Arkham, so that means they're a little bit mentally unstable. You just be beating the hell out of them, but I don't know if that's the best solution. And yeah, maybe fix the streets, but with the movie,
like all these galas y'all be having, where does that money? It's a gala in every Batman movie.
Yes, it is.
And sometimes it'd be like for the children, for the rainforest. It's like for Gotham, like Gotham need help.
That's probably why they keep the movie so dark, so we can't see how bad it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. I don't know. I have no rebuttal for that for sure. He could definitely be doing a lot more with his money.
Yeah.
They get an orphanage or something. I don't know, but
I mean, it's like, and then that's when like kind of Batman experts will come in and be like, well, he's got this. There's the Thomas and Martha Wayne Foundation, and they give this and this annually. It's like, look, bro, I'm not doing research on comic book taxes. I'm saying from the surface of what it looks like, it's a dude who lives in a mansion, and it's like you know how like it is when you like from a place. Like we both from Atlanta, but we both from Decatur. And so when we go outside of Georgia, and somebody say, "Where you from?" Atlanta. When we home, somebody say, "Where you from?" I'm from Decatur. Bruce Wayne, you not from Gotham, dog.
No, he's not. I don't know what city he is, but they got
he probably that manor is probably in its own city just for the Waynes that they incorporated themselves. Because where is this cave you flying out of? The side of the cave with the plane, and also there's water for your boat and your sub and all that other stuff like that. Like that's
I will say though, the grounds usually don't look well kept, so I don't think he cares. I don't think he cares about the facade of Bruce Wayne. I think he thinks he is Batman.
Yeah,
and Bruce Wayne is the character.
Yeah, sure. He does enough to get people off his back and keep people from thinking that Bruce Wayne is Batman. But also, like, he ain't really trying to do none of the Bruce Wayne stuff.
No, he's not.
Like, he only go into the office, they be like, these people are trying to take over your company. Then he like shows up for the shareholders meeting. We are in turmoil. We've laid off 500 people this month alone. Like, where have you been, dog? Driving around
beating up mentally unstable people
in a street illegal vehicle. Like, who's your mechanic? I think that's one of those things where I look at it and I'm like, if we're going to regular man Batman, because I feel like it's caught between these two worlds, right? It's like Batman is a superhero, and there's people who will argue with you about that because he doesn't have powers. But then also it's like, if we're going to regular man him, we got to ask regular man questions about like what he's doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? When Superman gets from point A to B and however fast, nobody's asking questions because we know Superman's super fast and Superman can go, you know? But sometimes it's like, man, like the how much prep time question, it's like, I want to see this dude in college. Like, he probably never studied. It was just cram sessions and that's it. And then getting A's because he be getting an A on like everything. Like that initial like meeting where he ain't have no prep time, it's always an ass whooping. But that prep time, man, nah.
You get on that big computer, it's over.
And none of his villains have figured that out either. They're like, yeah, we gonna sit back a little while and figure out our next move. It's like, okay.
I love when they all get together and it still doesn't work out.
Like, I'll be in the next cell on Arkham, like, you gave him too much time. Like Tom Brady, you left too much time on the clock. He figured you out.
Oh.
All right. So is there anything else that you feel like with the character that is kind of like, here's like some kind of issues or misses that like are really kind of holding the character back and kind of creating that creating those rifts in fan bases for people to be able to kind of argue and talk shit about Batman?
Oh God. I don't know. It's it's so hard because sometimes he's almost like that James Bond where he's dealing with women and kind of throwing them away. You know, I've heard the feminist things about him. But then you have, you know, I'm like, well, look at the women he's attracted to, you know.
Terrible taste in women. This
never
man
worked out. So, but he also didn't have his mother's love. So he never had.
He's the only superhero who gets away with just like boning down villains on the regular.
He does.
Like you just put them in Arkham like 6 months ago,
and he
and
doesn't
she out, and you think it's all good. And then even if she got out of Arkham, do you think it's the smartest thing for her to get involved with you? Like, hello, Catwoman Batman relationship. Like, what?
And it took her too long to figure out who he was. But anyway, in the comics, but
even when he did, it's like, okay, you guys are more turned on knowing you guys been fighting each other. Yeah. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, like the Batman Returns, Michelle Pfeiffer, that was an awakening for me as a child.
Yeah,
I began to understand what I liked when I saw that movie as a child.
It made it very, very clear.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I like that. She beat that ass and got on top of him. I like that. That sounds fun. Like, I kind of get it, Batman, but then it's like, I'm not Batman. Like, I'll fall for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Catwoman could get me. You're supposed to be the world's greatest detective and one prong of the holy trinity of DC. Like, I need you to have better restraint. Like, she fine.
That's when his human is showing. I mean, look at his BM. Talia, like she...
The worst of the worst.
Oh, God.
Batman need to just say, if I like a woman, she's probably terrible.
He needs to like Harley Quinn it. Like, I'm attracted to the worst of the worst. So I just think his relationships and how he deals with other people is his biggest like Achilles heel for sure. He doesn't recognize that he needs people and he needs a team, and he doesn't recognize that relationships are important and that people get attached to him and people care about him. And even though it's evident in some of the things that he does that he cares about people, he can't let that go. And I don't know if that's like a protection because he's lost so much. I mean, a lot of people that have been around him, not the best things have happened. So
true that.
I could see, So.
Yeah. I mean, I've chosen some questionable women in my day as well, so I can't knock them too hard for that. Sometimes you get lost in the sauce. I get it, but I ain't the world's greatest detective.
You're not the world's greatest detective, so yeah.
Holding Batman to a higher standard than myself. All right, so here's the part of the show that I really like, because I'm all about being solutions oriented. I don't like getting in these conversations and just like ripping people. I like to get to the part where it's like, all right, what would you do? What would you change about it? And I think last week with Sam, we kind of landed on like a good little like, here's like the 3 things that like I feel like Batman as a character like kind of has to have. Maybe it's some stuff that has been like fudged and like is different in a bunch of movies that you want to make consistent, or it could even just be like something that you've never seen before that you would like to happen with the character just to kind of like push it to a new level. So I'm gonna start with you, and we can talk about your 3 improvements.
Well, one like you already hit on for sure, because of course the Batman is coming out and everybody keeps asking me if I'm excited. I really don't care anymore who's playing Batman, because as we've seen, it doesn't matter and we can be surprised. But I'm tired of the same story being told. There's so much material out there. There's so many more villains. There's so many different ways they can go. And I think if we let go of, of course, we don't need to see any more of his parents dying. We don't need to see any more of that.
No more pearls in the streets of Gotham.
The Joker is great, but we don't need that anymore. this whole he's darkness and now he's vengeance, and okay, but what else? Like something else has to happen to grab people. Like, how are you getting new fans with these movies that we're putting out now? I don't see it. So I would definitely change that. And I would like to see one healthy relationship that's not Alfred. And I can't even see Alfred because he's kind of mean to him too. So I think if he had at least one like meaningful, equally respected, non-criminal relationship, maybe that would be okay. Make it a little bit better, a little bit more relatable. And maybe if they did do a little bit more on his background of, like he did go to college, he didn't finish, but he would go to get the courses that he needed, get the information, get out, get a little bit more into his training to really get people to understand this is why he can go toe to toe. This is why he can make all the superheroes that can fly ride in a jet with him instead of flying. I love that meme. That's hilarious. You're like, you're bad when you get all the other people to fly in a jet with you and they can fly. So those would be my big three things, change the movies, create a meaningful relationship, and do a better on his background about why he really is the Batman.
Yeah. I think that third one is huge because I think before Batman Begins, I think that was the first Christian Bale one, right? Mm-hmm. We had never really seen the like I left and traveled the world, and granted, I feel like they only really told that story because Ra's al Ghul was like the main villain.
Yeah, they had to go there. So yeah,
their connection to each other, but I think that over time that had been kind of a thing that was really, really left out of a lot of the movies. And so it did come because I'm one of those people where I'm just like, the comics are great as source material. Like I love reading comics and that's cool. But the average person who knows Batman, like how you started, we started with Adam West. Mm-hmm. That's where I first saw Batman. The average person our age's biggest commitment to Batman was like the animated series / Justice League series that followed it. So I think the movies are really important for gaining new fans and really establishing like the conversation around the characters, because like nobody cared about Captain America before the MCU. And now your basis of knowledge for who Captain America is and conversations that you're going to have in the real world are going to be based on the MCU, not like some obscure 1967 comic book that you read. Mm-hmm. So I definitely agree with the point about showing that training more, because if you're telling me this is a dude that is the world's greatest detective and can devise a plan to basically beat Superman in a one-on-one fight, I need like what
some sort of 2-minute montage.
What is the detective program? What police academy is this where, because like I'm assuming like with the League of Assassins, it's like I didn't see no computers. You know what I mean? So where's all the tech knowledge? All like it's one of those things where it's like I said on last week's episode with Sam, sometimes it felt like Superman would just get like a new power out of nowhere because his powers be like disjointed and coming out of nowhere, and you don't see childhood. You don't see as much of the childhood struggles except for like him being able to see X-ray vision and hear everything. We don't see him like get laser beams for the first time and then like be like, oh shit, and then do the kid thing of like, I can shoot laser beams on my eyes and just go blow. That's what kids would do. So some of that backstory, I think, would just help Batman make a little bit more sense. I think in my three, that kind of like rolls into like one of mine, which is just like show the training montage of him learning to fight, but also like, can we have a Batman? Like Batman is supposed to be trained in like all these martial arts, and then he get in these movies and just be like punch.
And I think because he's so restricted by the suits, how they make the suits. That was a big thing with Michael Keaton. Talked about that and how bad. Even Christian Bale, he talked about that. So they limited with that. So that's why we need a Batman Beyond.
Yeah,
For
we
his
do need a
sister.
Batman Beyond, but DC got to earn that. We'll talk about that on the DC. So Batman Beyond, we need a Batman.
Yes.
Like we can't even get beyond. We
Yeah.
about to erase the whole DC EU with the Flash movie coming up. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, I would love to see Terry on screen at some point, but we got to get Bruce and the other folks right first, and some continuity there.
Yeah.
But yeah, in addition to that, I just wish like one, the fight scenes in Batman movies needs to be better martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a stunt double because he's in a bat suit. You can make the suit however you want to make it because it's a movie. It's not real.
For sure.
So just make it so you could do some like cool, because even when you see him fight in the comics, like he's doing like martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the movies, it's just so like, it's like, man, who is losing to this? Like
he really is just like walking out one punch or kicking someone. Yeah.
It's like so slow.
Mm-hmm.
My second thing that I would change or keep consistent about Batman is I think that every Batman scenario doesn't have to look like it was shot in the shadows.
Oh yeah.
Like I really do get it that like Batman he's in the shadows, but the whole world does not have to be a shadow.
No, the sun is
we can add some like, cult, some, we can add like maybe there's a section of Gotham where there's neon lights or something. Where Batman's beating people up, but we can change some of the visual language. We can make it less boring and not have it just be like, oh, these just look like New York business people like walking down the street every day. Like, I think that Superman always is going to have that fantastical element because at any point Superman going to fly off the ground and you in disbelief. But when we have this story about a man in a bat suit, when you like, we need the fantastic to come from somewhere else. Even with the villains, it's like all the villains don't have to be like gritty. Why? Like I saw the character design for the new Riddler, and he looked like Kanye. Why can't it just be like a spiffy dude that is like still beholden to like green? Like we got to make this, like we got to get over, like Batman is not real. He's never going to be real. There's nobody who's going to be Batman. I think if you want to make some stuff real, like, yeah, you shoot somebody with a bullet, they die. I'm cool with it. But like the rest of it, this is a comic book movie. It should look like a comic book. Comic books are colorful. They have colorful characters. People dress in outrageous outfits. Like this dude dressed in a bat suit and this dude dressed in an army coat from H&M. That don't make sense. Like that's not equal. And then you look like even more of an asshole because like you're like super prepared and it just looked like you just beating people up who are not even in the same like world.
In the same league. Yep.
They're so serious feeling. So I think adding a little like levity to Batman. Sometimes we can choose some like sillier villains, even if it's just like the like when we start the movie and Batman's already fighting somebody, and why can't that be Condiment King? Just throw us like a bone. You know what I mean? Just have him beat up the dude, and he got mustard and ketchup all over his suit. And Alfred just like, huh? Like, I forgot to cook the hot dogs. Had I known, you'd bring the condiments. You know what I mean?
Oh my God!
We can have some of that, or we got to have a Robin. It can't just be, or it's got to come through Catwoman. That's my thing with this movie. Is like, is Catwoman gonna be serious too, or is she gonna be able to bring? Is she bringing that playful element that kind of like?
I have no expectations for this new movie. This new movie looks like what we've already seen.
That's my concern. It feels very Batman Begins-ish. And I was like, I've seen that. That was fresh, but I feel like it was so fresh and people liked it so much. It's like we liked it because the last thing we got was Joel Schumacher.
Mm-hmm. And no bueno. No bueno.
But it's like I would take the look of those movies, but the stories are terrible. Like Two-Face. Tommy Lee Jones Two-Face looked fire. Like I loved the look of that Two-Face. Jim Carrey as the Riddler. Fire.
Oh, that was great. That was great. Yep.
The movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was also I was a little kid when it came out, so I loved it.
Yeah.
And it's like part of the thing too is like Batman is a character for children. All comic book characters are characters for children at the end of the day. So just making it dark and dark and dark, you're gonna lose like a generation of people who like they're growing up on these MCU movies and they watching Spider-Man in full color. They watching Captain America and all these other people in full color, and all your guy does is like.
And that's why I said he's definitely not going to gain any new fans. The people that are watching now are people that have already been fans and making their kids go, but it's not. No, you're not getting new people with the material that's coming out now.
Yeah, I think it. I mean, at the end of the day, unfortunately, and we'll probably talk more about this on the full DC episode, but it's just a function of like studios having more control and being more concerned with like revenue and dollars, and they're just going to look at it like Batman Begins made all this money, so make another one like that. Yep. Even though Ben Affleck hated being Batman, apparently, people. There's an audience that enjoyed Justice League and enjoyed him as Batman in Justice League. I didn't really mind him that much. I didn't really like the like Wonder Woman Batman like tension because I was like.
I definitely he's one of my favorites as Bruce Wayne for sure.
Yeah, he was a great Bruce Wayne.
But yeah, Batman,
But like doing pull-ups with like a heavy chain and like 2 45-pound plates is not prep for Batman. Like that's the kind of stuff when people get into prep time. I'm like, there is no prep other like the only prep you're doing for Superman is figuring out how to like get the kryptonite into his system. You can do all the in the world. You're not going to show up to no fight as strong as Superman.
So unless your mother's name is Martha.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God. I remember literally just audibly in the theater being like, what?
Yeah. I definitely was like, huh?
I don't know. If I'm in a fight and somebody say my mother's name, that's just making me punch harder.
Yeah.
But me, I'm not from Gotham, so I can't say what I would do in those situations. But yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing about Batman is it's very different from like our conversation about Superman last week, where I think Superman has some like fundamentally like changes that they need to figure out like about that character as an idea first. I think Batman is more about. I think the issues with Batman is more about application. It's just like there is space for dark, broody, realistic Arkham Asylum Batman, but there is also space for the fantastic. And like you said, I would love to see more about like the detective stuff and not just it be like, okay, on the way to the battle, you're just giving everybody a briefing on like what they're doing. Like, nah, man, I want to know how you like, I would love to see how he became a detective. Like, is that part of the assassin's training with Ra's al Ghul, or is that just like some stuff he picked up somewhere else? Because he gone for a long time, went around the world. Where is the Batman like anthology series, like the old Hercules and Xena show, where he just like going from place to place and learning new stuff? Like, I would love to see something like. I mean, they basically did that on Arrow. One of the seasons, like all the flashbacks was like him not on the island and doing all these missions for like the Russian mafia and stuff, and working for Amanda Waller. So we've seen it; it works. But basically, we know that you're just telling like a Batman story, but using Green Arrow. So
pretty much,
why can't we just see this with Batman, the person who we really want to see it with? And unfortunately, it's because Batman Begins and Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan, that whole run did so well. It just completely shaped how everybody wanted to see, I think, DC characters on the big screen moving forward.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because that was a lot of people's introduction to to him. So that's what you want, and you want that dark and that menacing and non-feeling and, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well,
I still love him.
Yeah, and I mean, for all the shit that I talk about Batman, I like the character a lot. And I think a lot of times the shit that I talk about Batman is I get on the money thing and the beating up black people in the hood thing just because like that's just funny to me that like nobody at Gotham, like they've told like a couple stories, but like nobody has really like deep the optics that like this white man driving in a like through $250,000 car through the hood every night beating people up. Not the best optics in the world, and I can understand like why people aren't on his side. For the people who are just like, I mean, how could you hate Batman? It's like, I don't know, man. I know a lot of drug dealers, so it's like I smoke weed. Like
he
Batman
destroys a lot of stuff. I'm like,
yeah. It's
is
like
your
Batman
tax? Are you paying taxes? Because rich people don't be paying taxes.
Are
Like
you
that. So
parked on the street?
Mm-hmm.
You better find a garage because Batman come through here, anything might happen. Don't let Superman be in town too. That's it. What are the deductibles like in Gotham and Metropolis? That's what I want to know. But yeah. I mean, I think we hit like a lot of really good stuff here. Closing thoughts. I'm gonna give you the floor to just closing thoughts about your boo Bruce Wayne and how you feel about him, what you want to see with him going forward.
Just what I said. Like, I would also like to see the tech stuff turn up a little bit more because there's room for that for sure. But just really getting into the comic, I would like to feel like they fought things out like the MCU did. Like really, it's going somewhere. Not, oh, this movie made a lot of money. Like I said, let's make another one, or let's see how this one. It feels like they're like, let's see how this one did, and then we'll do another one. Instead of being like the MCU, like we're gonna do all of this.
Yeah,
there's a plan. There's never a plan. There's never a plan. But I would say check out the comics, check out the animated, check out the movies, and I'm sure out of those three, you'll find a version of him that you love.
Cool. Well, yeah, I'll just hop in too and say I would definitely suggest Justice League Doom. It's like a really good one, and Batman is heavily featured in that. I would definitely suggest Injustice. Watching that, both of those I think are on HBO Go right now. And then also I would suggest Justice League Dark. You can see Batman with some of the kind of B and C list Justice League members and just see how like he kind of interacts with subordinates. Obviously, like there's the big ones like the Killing Joke, Year 1, Year 2, and all that stuff like that. Feel free to check all that stuff out. I'm definitely more of an animation person just because I can watch more stuff and have stuff on the background while I'm working as opposed to sitting down and reading a bunch of comics. But I would also say go back and revisit Batman. I think it's Batman Forever, the one with Jim Carrey. And and not for the overall plot, but I would say even Batman and Robin just for the portrayals from Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. And I think that kind of Poison Ivy, that kind of Two-Face, that kind of Riddler is the contrast that I really enjoy about Batman, because if he's going to be serious, I need the other people to kind of be able to
we have to believe that they're crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say I think I had one more change. I feel like there should always be some sort of Robin, Barbara Gordon like sidekick character for Batman, just to give us like a sane person dealing with him. So me as a viewer, I'm not just like, this nigga crazy.
Yeah, and that's fair because I'm like, who's had more reiterations of themselves than him? And we never get to see him. You know, you got a Batgirl, and you got a Nightwing, and you got a Robin, and you know,
let's see all those people. All right, well, this has been amazing, Batman. We put you on the couch. Yeah, your 45-minute session is up. Um, Go out there, make us proud with this next movie. I mean, it's already made, so nobody's gonna listen to us, but definitely gonna check it out. Maybe we'll come back after the movie and put them back on the couch if we don't like what we see. So yeah, Dunesia, anything you want to plug or say to the viewers before we
No,
go?
just check out all our content. Sam and I have a really great show that I think is hilarious.
Yes.
You know, it's called Why Did I Watch That? And we review movies that we definitely should not have watched. But we look at it so you don't have to, and we talk about it and dare you to disagree with us. So definitely just check that out on our YouTube channel.
For sure. That show is super funny. You guys are very insightful and a lot more kind to some of those movies than I would be if I was on that show. So um, I would definitely need a little bit of woosah after watching some. I'm not one of them people that be like, yeah, I'm gonna just watch a bad movie.
Yeah.
No, I'd be mad when movies be bad. So
yeah, and it doesn't help, even though we know it's bad. It's still
right.
It's still bad. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely check that out. Also, check out a lot of our other content. We're definitely doing reviews on Book of Boba Fett, which has been amazing so far. And Brent, Will, and sometimes Sam have been doing great jobs reviewing the show. I said sometimes Sam because sometimes he's on the show, not because sometimes he does a good job reviewing. Also, I think we're going to be doing some more Peacemaker episodes, but we have a Peacemaker review for episode 1, 2, and 3 up already. So definitely check that out as well. So, Grown A Geeks, thank you so much for tuning in. For Dunesia, I'm Jeffrey. Peace. We'll see you next time.